Welcome to Holy Heart Nutrition, where we talk about healing your heart, mind, body, and soul with a focus on holistic nutrition and spiritual support. I'm your host, Susan Crusaris.
Hey guys, welcome back. Wanted to talk today about inflammation and what it is. What are some common symptoms that you will often see with chronic inflammation, and what can we do about it? I'm really passionate about helping people create a connection between what their body is trying to tell them and how they can help their body help itself. Oftentimes, we miss that our chronic inflammatory symptoms we're having are just that. We'd feel like, oh, but I've always been this way. Oh, but I've been constipated since I was a kid. That's not normal. Oh, I always get a stuffy nose after I eat. That's not normal. These are all inflammatory responses, and your body's trying to communicate with you that something's wrong. It doesn't like what you're doing. So I always like to help people make those connections so that they can have that light bulb moment to be like, wait a minute, you mean it's possible for my body to not have allergies? It's possible for my body to not have a stuffy nose or not cough when I exercise. All of these things are inflammatory responses. We all know that inflammation is the main driver for disease. Almost every single disease out there has its roots in inflammation. So it's not enough for us to just take something that anti-inflames. Let's go get a corticosteroid. Let's go get medication that just suppresses your immune system so you don't inflame. That works until it doesn't. And your body needs to be able to inflame. It's very important for your body to be able to inflame itself because that's how it heals. There are two types of inflammation. There's acute inflammatory response, and that is a quick burst due to an acute either injury to tissue, or maybe there's a toxin that you've inhaled, or there's a parasite that you ingested, and it's an infection basically. So your body's going to rush to have specialized cells around that and try and fight it off that way. Chronic inflammation is the second kind, and that can arise from acute inflammatory responses that are not being resolved. And lots of things can cause this. And our diet is actually one of them because we have very pro-inflammatory ingredients in our food. And a lot of it is part of our food system that we have nothing to do with, unfortunately, which is why I get so irritated and angry with the big food industry and how they have chosen profit over people. It's ridiculous, and we need to do better. The FDA allows BS to be put in our food here that no other country is allowed to have in their food system. So it's not all our fault here. We kind of have the cards stacked against us, but it's okay because we can do some things and we can vote with our dollar, and that's starting to gain traction, I'm happy to say. And if we don't buy it, they're not going to do it anymore. So we can say no to these super cheap, super inflammatory foods that do nothing for us. And we can either A, make them ourselves, or B, demand better from these food companies. In the meantime, I would say make it yourself. So this chronic inflammation arises, as I said, when acute inflammation is not being resolved. Ideally, when the body sees that an injury is being repaired, the workers are off the site now and the job is done. What happens is that we end up being chronically inflamed because there's so much destruction of our tissues and cells going on. We've got free radicals from our environment and our food. We have oxidative stresses happening. It's very easy to be constantly inflamed nowadays. So there are some common symptoms when it comes to inflammation. All of us can definitely relate to any one of these at any given time. One is pain, just body pain. That can include joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and that is your body's way of saying, I am not happy and I am going to slow you down until you do something about it. Another one is chronic fatigue or insomnia. Sleep disturbances can also be kind of lumped in with this one. When we're not sleeping, we'll be chronically fatigued for sure. Again, our body's trying to get our attention here and say, I can't rest. I can't rest and repair because there's so much going on right now. Another common symptom are GI issues. GI issues can encompass everything from reflux to belching to the inability to belch to constipation to diarrhea. All of those are inflammatory responses that your body tries to bring attention to the fact that it is not happy with something going on. Another common symptom of inflammation is actually mood issues. So depression, anxiety, irritability, having a short fuse. These are very common. Inflammation will cause you to be a lot more irritable and maybe a little bit more weepy, maybe a little bit more melancholy. Those are actually inflammatory responses in your brain. It's kind of cool to think about, wow, something that you can't see, something intangible like your feelings or your thoughts can be attributed to something physiological like your cells in your brain being pissed off. Finally, the last one I can think of are weight fluctuations. Again, tying in with that swelling, you can be gaining weight and you can lose weight. It's a little scarier when you lose weight for no apparent reason. That's definitely something you should check with your doctor on because that can indicate something very serious, such as pancreatitis or possibly cancer arising in the gut, but it could be a primary cancer anywhere in your body that's causing you to drop weight quickly. So you definitely want to speak with your doctor if that is the case. But weight gain is also a sign of chronic inflammation. The flip side to that coin is that when you lose weight, that is one of the main drivers to anti-inflame. They have done studies on multiple papers to see what the common findings are. And there is nothing more effective to anti-inflame than losing weight. That is a huge piece. If you can try to lose some weight by balancing blood sugar, more daily movement, having more of a positive mindset, that might be able to set you up for success so that you can be a lot less inflamed chronically. What are things that we can do about being chronically inflamed? It's not a death sentence, or at least it doesn't have to be. We can take a lot of measures that are fairly simple to do. As I mentioned before, we can work on losing weight, making conscious efforts to balance your blood sugar. There's a ton of great info out there on how you can balance your blood sugar. There is a wonderful lady that I follow. Her name is the Glucose Goddess. She's a biochemist and she's very knowledgeable on the subject. She has done a great job of creating little bite-sized TikToks and shorts that people can watch on simple things and habits that she uses to balance her blood sugar. Some of my personal hacks that I like to use are apple cider vinegar. I just take a little bit of that in water before I eat. That helps really balance blood sugar. That acid will offset the base effect that sugar has in your stomach. And it really helps you metabolize it much slower so you're not spiking that. Another thing you can do to balance blood sugar is to focus on protein. We all know that we need insane amounts of protein, and sometimes it can feel like, I can't do this. But again, when you optimize that stomach acid and you can have protein as your main star of that show, you're going to be doing yourself a huge favor. Fiber is another really great hack to use. Make sure that you are feeding your gut the microbes that support weight loss, what they like to eat. And fiber happens to be one of those things. We can also take things to anti-inflame. One of those things being fish oil. It's like nature's Tylenol. Fish, if you don't like taking fish oil from a bottle, you can certainly take it in pill form, but do work it into your schedule because it will supply omega-3s to offset all of the inflammatory omega-6s that you're ingesting. Our food system is omega-6 high. It's good to have omega-6s, but not in the abundance that we do in our diet today. So having those omega-3s, we want that ratio to be smaller. We want about half of the omega-3s to omega-6s. So if you're building in more omega-3s, that will most likely meet the need that you have for the amount of omega-6s you're taking in. Another thing we can do is to get as much sleep as we can. Now, I know this is hard when you're dealing with insomnia. I've gone into my favorite sleep remedies in other videos, but sometimes you need to bring in the big guns, whether that's speaking to your doctor about hormone replacement therapy. Sometimes that can be an effective bridge to kind of gap that need that you have at this point in your life. Other times you can do over-the-counter remedies such as herbs that have sedative qualities. Valerian root is a wonderful natural sedative that can help you sleep and stay asleep. You just have to make sure that you've got at least 8 hours that you're going to be able to sleep so that it has enough time to wear off in your system. Another thing we can do that's fairly simple that you can start doing today is to drink more water and enhance it with electrolytes. I'm not a big fan of electrolytes from a package. A lot of them don't have a good ratio of potassium to sodium. Maybe they are full of a lot of sugar. Maybe they're full of a lot of fake sugars. Sometimes they can be full of junk. What I like to do is just a pinch of sea salt in my water along with a squeeze of lemon or lime. You can do a splash of coconut water That will give you a wonderful amount of electrolytes. Chronic inflammation can really be a result of being chronically dehydrated. So once we start hydrating, that can often really help with things like joint pain, stiffness, and even insomnia, believe it or not. Getting enough water, just that alone can be a signal for your body to feel like, okay, I'm safe. I'm feeling more hydrated now. I'm good. Another thing you can do to support GI anti-inflammatory processes is you can drink bone broth. I am drinking a steaming cup of bone broth right now that I have made with chicken feet. It's really, really good. You got to get a good source. I live in the Midwest and I order from Seven Sons Farms. There's also Wanda Farms here in Illinois. Top quality stuff, amazing farmers. Definitely consider putting your money into quality meat products like your local farm. When you can get your hands on that, you know that you're getting a quality source of protein, collagen. They are a healthier animal, and so they're going to yield a healthier product for your body. I made these out of chicken feet that I got from Seven Sons Farms, and I'd never tried it before, and I thought I might just be really disgusted. But you guys, the amount of collagen that came out, basically it turns to gelatin once it goes in my fridge, and I have to scoop it out and heat it for it to get to liquid again. I feel so good when I have a cup of this. I just feel like I'm drinking liquid gold, and it's just helping my body so much. So that is another thing you can do to help your gut. Again, we're hydrating, we're building up that gut barrier with collagen-rich products like bone broth. It's going to help combat things like constipation, diarrhea. It's going to give you a huge infusion of nutrients and super nutrients that your body needs to thrive. Again, we're just kind of giving the body these tools that it needs in order to thrive. So I hope that this answered some questions you have about inflammation and what we can do to combat it. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will see you next time.